local candidate forum hosted by the Bradley County Republican Party. Tonight we'll hear from three groups of candidates who are running for positions on three elected bodies in our community: the Cleveland City School Board, the Cleveland City Council, and the Bradley County School Board. My name is Adam Lewis. I'm the chairman of the Bradley County Republican Party and will serve as moderator of tonight's event. I'll also be serving as one of the panelists tonight, specifically asking questions that were submitted by the public. Please join me in also welcoming to the panel Christy Armstrong, a reporter with the Cleveland Daily Banner, and Paul Leach, a reporter with the Chattanooga Times Free Press. The format for tonight's event will be as follows. Each candidate will have a 90-second opening statement. After opening statements have concluded, our panelists will begin with questioning. After a question has been asked, each candidate will have the chance to give a 60-second response. After the question portion has ended, candidates will then have a 90-second opportunity for a closing statement. Questions have not been given to the candidates in advance, and the number of questions each group receives will depend on the number of candidates in the group and the response times. Candidates, please be very mindful of these time limits. Tennille Watson with the Bradley County Republican Women is serving as our timer tonight. She will raise one hand when you have 20 seconds remaining and two hands when you have reached your time limit. Last but not least, the order of the candidates will be selected randomly before each group takes their places tonight. I'd like to thank those in attendance and ask that you remain as quiet and respectful as possible during each round of questioning. I would also like to welcome those listening tonight on WCLE 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz on the radio, as well as those tuned into their televisions with WTNB. With that said, I would like to welcome our first group, candidates for the Cleveland City School Board. Beginning with opening statements, 90-second opening statements. Steve Moore.
Thank you for that. She said she would hold up both hands for me. It's exciting to get to go first. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Adam, and moderators. Thank you very much for radio and television station being here for those that couldn't get to be here. My name is Steve Morgan. I am married to, in about 10 days, to Sherry, my wife, 28 years. We have two daughters, Sarah and Molly, who were both products and proud to be of the Cleveland City School System. Sherry teaches criminal justice at high school after having an investigative background. I'm a full-time pastor at First Baptist Church here in Cleveland. Served on the Cleveland City School Board since 2008. I've been honored to be the vice chairman, chairman pro tem, and a member of the site committee. Some accomplishments have been major ones. Was the new Mayfield School was the first project that I got to work on. We have a state-of-the-art science wing at high school, and we also just completed, due to the dome at high school having some unexpected foundational issues, a new Raider arena. And we have purchased property for a new elementary school on the west side of town. We are first on that side of the interstate, and we have come up with a design and the plans for those. I said when I ran in 2008, my campaign slogan is that I needed one. It's time? I'll tell you later.
Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to address the voters of Cleveland. I'm Krista McKay, and I'm running for the 2nd District for the Cleveland City School System. I am married to Sean McKay, and we've been married for 21 years now. We have two daughters who are currently students in the Cleveland City School System. They've been attending Cleveland Public Schools since kindergarten. I've got my oldest, Kat, is going to be a senior next year, and my youngest is going to be a freshman at the high school. So we've been involved in the city school system for many years through volunteering, PTO organizations, different activities at the school. I'm in education currently. I teach in the English department at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and get to see the products of the Cleveland school system in my classroom, and as well as students from across the state and the area in general. So I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to be more involved in the Cleveland school system, serve on the board and serve the members of the community, the students, the teachers, and the parents in this capacity. So thank you very much for attending tonight, and I would appreciate your vote.
All right, that concludes opening statements. We're going to get started with the questioning portion. And the first question will be asked by Christy Armstrong.
What do you see as the biggest issue facing Cleveland City schools, and why?
Who goes? Steve? I don't know if it's going to be considered an issue, but certainly the fresh news is that tomorrow begins the tenure of the new director of schools. We're excited about that. Dr. Russell Timothy Dyer comes from Collierville. It's his first superintendent job, and we're excited about that. Some of the issues that a school system always faces is, of course, safety. The children and how they learn. We set benchmarks. Meeting those benchmarks, graduation rate, are certainly the most, ultimately, they walk the stage, get a diploma, and they succeed. That's the goal. That they serve the community, that they're citizens, that pay taxes, have jobs, and want to be a contributing citizen. So there are many challenges, state level, local level, and federal level, that challenge that from time to time now. But I think the most exciting news is our director.
Okay, and just to add to that, the transition to the new director is obviously going to be the forefront of the activities as the new school year begins. But also, I think it's exciting to look forward to the building of the new elementary school, and that's going to take a lot of energy from a lot of different areas in the community and a lot of support. So that will be a priority as well.
I have a security-related question, and we'll alternate. Ms. McKay, do you support allowing full-time school staff and faculty to carry concealed weapons on campus? And if so, why?
Obviously, we would, as a school board member, I would defer to whatever the state laws are. We would need to be able to be following the state laws. Until the law is passed to change that, I wouldn't see any need in addressing that. If a state law was passed that would change that opportunity, then we would need to be getting input from a lot of different avenues, constituents, parents, teachers, students, experts in the field, especially in the field of education. So, I think that currently we have SROs in place that address a lot of those issues currently, and until there's a need to change that policy, I would not be in favor of addressing it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that it's security at the schools is one of the utmost. Learning, of course, and all those things come into play, but children are safe. We are a system that has SROs at each of our schools. I don't think that it would be a good idea this time if state laws do change requirements or they loosen some of that. Might be worth looking at, but I don't see it. I don't know that it would add anything at this point. I might open it up to other issues.
Next question, and Mr. Morgan will have first shot at this. What is your stance on allowing students, for whatever reason, to use the restrooms of the opposite sex? And how do you feel about the district's current policy?
Well, the current policy is clear. If we have a student of either sex that is either unsure, confused, in an identity crisis, or wants to make other demands, then we have certainly, and we already have, made allowances for that. As far as relabeling bathrooms or any of those kind of things, I don't think that's necessary. We're talking about a very small percentage of the population, and I really don't see that we need the rest of the entire population to make changes to something that's been very long term or standing a long time.
And I'm going to concur with the statement that the individual schools deal with these situations on a case-by-case basis, and they're best equipped to deal with these. Currently, there hasn't been a requirement to change that situation, and I wouldn't see a need to pursue that.
How do you feel religion should be addressed in public schools?
What I'm aware of is, I believe that there's been some questions about some different religions being taught in the classroom. From my understanding, the state standards require us to address religion education as part of the social studies curriculum, and the schools are currently doing that and teaching that in a format of educating from social studies, historical context, and I think that that's handled accordingly. As far as introducing theology or any of those, I would not be in favor of that. I think that sticking with the historical context is appropriate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we live in a very interesting time and a very sensitive time toward at least particular religions. I think a historical, large perspective, worldview stance, it is a part of history. It exists. It has for a long time. It varies, different practices, rituals, and as far as school goes, where you have impressionable children, it needs to be historical, it needs to be factual, and then anything further than that is to be addressed somewhere else.
I'm being asked to ask each of you to speak up as best you can so that the
Sorry.
folks in the back can hear. Thank you.
My question is also as a religious theme. It's actually outside the classroom. Do you believe Christian faith-based organizations should be allowed to operate on campus? And as a follow-up to that, do you also defend the right of Muslim or other non-Christian religions to operate extracurricular organizations on campus?
Well, I do believe that for a long time, decades, we've had organizations meet before school, after school, meet at all these organizations. And really, in this area, they've been Christian faith-based. If there has been a desire or a request for anything other than that, I'm not aware of it. And I don't know how that would be handled, but I would imagine it would be a state law and school policy, which is what we deal with. The environment and the community changes. With policy, we try to adapt that as best we can within the law, and then if we want to make it more stringent, we can. But yes, I do believe that it plays a part in the student's life, and if they choose to participate either before or after school, they should be allowed to do so.
And I agree that the organizations currently in place have been established, they are established by students, run by students, and coordinated and student-driven, then that is appropriate and would be the case for even non-religious organizations if they want to start a club or some kind of meeting for some other special interest group. If we open that opportunity for one group, then we should open that same opportunity for the different groups that would be interested as well, as long as they fall within a policy stated by the school board.
What, if anything, can you as a school board member do to help in a tangible way those parents who choose to homeschool their children? Start with
That's something that I would need to find more out about what we currently provide. This is the first term I'm running for, so there is a little bit of a learning curve involved. Quite frankly, I'm not aware of what the school board currently does to help with the homeschool organizations, so I don't know if I would speak in an informal way of what else we could do, and to stay within the parameters of what we are served to do or charged to do. So I'm not really sure what I would be able to contribute at this point.
Even though students are homeschooled, there are state and federal benchmarks or requirements that the director of schools is required to be made aware of. As far as social events, there's debates on whether they should be a part of teams or inclusive in proms, and each community makes their own choice. Each community decides. As far as requirements, curriculum, those kind of things, those are state regulated, federal regulated, and vary from each institution from one to another. So I think if we had homeschool parents approach us as a school board, requesting certain things. We certainly hear that, know what their desires are, and requests are, and trying to be as accommodating as we could. But they have chosen to school their child at home rather than public school for a purpose. And so we need to know what those are before we can address them.
What is the number one thing you would like to see change in the school system and why?
Our local system or education in general?
Cleveland's school system.
Change. Well, I would like for us to have at least one new building. We are in search of funding for the new elementary school. We've had a lot of growth in our area. We outgrow our schools robustly. We take music rooms and art rooms and computer labs and things that really weren't designed to be classrooms and use them for those reasons. We get full. All of our schools have a level of overcrowding in them, and the funding body has been so gracious to our school system. Thank you. And so that's next on our plate. I would like to see that change so that we can alleviate some overcrowding, work back in some of our arts, and move forward from there.
Again, I'm gonna have to say that the overcrowding was my first response for the change. And it boils down to addressing the needs of the student, the educational needs of the students, and making sure that they have the resources necessary to receive the best education. So whether it be overcrowding, whether it be textbooks, resources, technology, I want to make sure that we were addressing that and making sure that we were continuing to grow and be progressive in those areas.
What year is the absolute deadline for starting construction for the new elementary school on Georgetown Road, in your opinion?
We have talked about 2017, we would like to begin, but we're not the funding body, we're the requesting body. So for me to sit here on my television and say the deadline is this day might not go well with my city council members. So I don't want to do that. I would like to begin construction tomorrow. We really need a new school, we need some growing room. But as far as a drop-dead deadline, that would be up to our funding body.
Yes, and I would agree that it's the school board's obligation to keep that at the forefront and to keep that as a priority. We are not the ones that determine the funding for that. The school board determines the need, put forth the request, and now we'll await the funding. And I think that we will continue to work with the city schools, the city council, to obtain that funding. Until we can move forward and keep that as a priority.
This will be the last question, and it's a threefold question. What is your opinion of the Common Core standards? Do you believe that the recent changes in the law have truly removed those standards? And ultimately, who should set the educational standards in our schools? And that'll be your answer, Ms. McKay.
That is a tiered question with a tiered answer. The Common Core standards, in theory, are a good idea. We want to be able to be able to compete on a national level, and our students to be prepared and have a common core of educational outcomes. How they're implemented and how they are assessed, that tends to be where the problems arise. So those situations are often handled most effectively at a local level. That's what the new legislation that was passed allows us to do, work more closely on a local level than a federal level, so that we can do what's best for our students in our local communities based on their needs and their abilities. So we are able to try to reach those outcomes, but be able to use the processes and assessments as appropriate.
Common Core was a federal program, and I don't believe that the federal government should have I don't think that we should have a Department of Education at the federal level at all. I do believe that it is a state and local, how we teach our children. And yes, it is important to have congruity nationwide, globally. Jobs are important. Common Core, at its core, had some really good ideas. It got a bad shape. It wasn't presented well. It wasn't completely what we needed. Did the state do away with it totally? No, they did not. They wanted to do away with the bad publicity first. They wanted to keep some of the things that were really good ideas. They were simplifying to the curriculum and the process. But I really ultimately think that the curriculum our curriculum is set by the state. There's a Department of Education that has a huge role in what is mandated from us. If it's state law, we must follow it. Of course, there again, we can do more, but that is a minimum. And so more local control, our state legislature has now given us some, and I think that that is a plus. It's where it should have been all along, I think. But I think we improve from here. I think we take some fingers off from afar and we regulate, govern, and teach our students from home.
That concludes our round of questions for this group. We'll now hear closing statements from the candidates, a 90-second closing statement. Begin with you, Ms. McKay.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to address and to answer questions. Just wanted to end by saying that I hope you give me the opportunity to use my experience as a parent and as an educator and as a community member to serve our community in this way. I look forward to working with the Board of Education and working to improve and continually grow our city schools.
And I did want to say, I'm going to give you the last part of my opening statement was, when I began campaigning in 2008, I said that I really did believe that God-fearing people that need prayer in their lives should run for public office. And so I put my money where my mouth was and I ran for office. So in doing that, I wanted to be a positive addition to the process. I wanted to help and be an advocate for students of all ages, from anywhere they come from. Every student, every day is our motto in Cleveland City Schools, and I believe in that. I think that every time an election comes around, you get to decide if I kept my word, if I brought integrity to the work, and whether or not you will support and vote for me again. So I ask you to do that. Assess our work, consider, and then I ask for your prayers. I humbly ask for your vote, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Candidates, thank you for your participation tonight. Can we give them a round of applause? We will now take a short break and hear from the next group of candidates, the candidates for the City Council of Cleveland. We'll take a quick break and be back in just a few minutes.